What up, what up, what up, what up? I'm your humble brother Crumb, the master student. As you already know, we are having yet another debate here on 2rawfortv.tv. Family tap all the way in. My question to you is, does anybody know how much all is? So the debate today is, does Black America need a lead? Oh, there's a little typo there. Do Black Americans need a leader? With me is a star studded cast of panelists, none other. And let's start with the good sister and brother. If you could you tell the family who you are and where we can find you at?
Well, if you hear my voice, then you're part of the revolution. I am Palmetto Star, host of Two Rover TV, founder of Two Rover TV uh, network. So, me and Courtney Omega, introduce yourself.
Thank you. I am Courtney Omega Doss, a longtime supporter of Too Raw for TV, as well as a co-founder of P4R, Plantations for Reparations, and the founder and owner of the Colored Only Cafe. Glad to be here today. Thank you.
Humbled, honored, and it's a privilege to have you. Let's continue on with Empress. Could you introduce yourself real quickly? Tell the family who you are, where we can find you at.
Greetings, everybody. I am Empress Westia. I am a lover of people, our people, the original people. You can find me on Instagram at my Empress Westia. You can also find me on umbrellasquad.org. I have a foundation that is empowering women who have lost a child, um, veterans as well. I'm a Camp Lejeune survivor from the military, and just empowerment of resources of who we are. So, yeah, that's what you can find me. Thank you.
We give you high honors and perfect praise. Thank you so much for tapping in. And it's a fan favorite, my good brother from another mother, A1 since day one. Brother, if you could introduce yourself, please and thank you.
Yeah, salute to the fam. So Miko Turtle, the Big Headed Alchemist, host of Atlantis Indigenous Radio, right here on 2rawfortv.tv every Thursdays 9 p.m. And Atlantis Indigenous Radio is a media arm of our Indigenous Society. That's Atlantis Indigenous Society. That we established to deal with our Holocaust, man, the denationalization of us as original people, and really help our people uplift ourselves, man, holistically, man, out of colonial grips, man, whether it's, the colonial bondages that we got with these colonial society slave certificates that we deal with, and colonizers as far as police and the whole society, man, just to bring some form of solution for us. So y'all can check me out also on Instagram, Turtle the Big Headed Alchemist, or T the Big Headed Alchemist. And the way you see it spelled on the screen, that's how it's spelled. And you will see me doing a handstand on it. That page has been acting a little weird lately. It's been getting more views. So if anything happened with that one, I got another page, Miko. Miko Tada Big Headed Alchemist, or Miko Tadanaga. I think that is. Yeah, Miko Tadanaga. But yeah, we're gonna have a great build, man, and I'm looking forward to, the build today.
It's always a gratitude. It's always a boon to have you. Really grateful. All right. So, does Black America need a leader? Not to put the ladies on the hot spot, but I say ladies first. Empress, do you mind?
Thank you so much. Black America, absolutely. Original America, not at all. And I definitely know that that's the significance of why we are separated, because a lot of us think that we are Black. And I'm very big on language. So when I look at the word Black and I see what it's telling us to be, it's telling us to be lack. So if you're in lack, that means you're less than. There's a less of who you know yourself to be. You're in a belief system. So I think Black America needs leadership, absolutely, so they get back to their originality. But when it comes to us and who we are as the divine creators of this planet, absolutely not. We have a knowledge of self, and I spell CELLPH. That's our genetics. That's something that the no one else on this planet can do, is have knowledge of self, be in alignment with that sun. So I think because we have that knowledge, within ourselves. We don't need to be led. Beyonce don't speak for me. Oprah don't speak for me. Shaquille O'Neal don't speak for me. Obama don't speak for me. So personally, no, I don't need leadership. I yield.
Well said. Um, since we've got the good 2 for 1, let's go with our fearless co-founder, Palmetto, and then we can pass to Courtney if that's okay.
Well, I understand what the sister was saying. Absolutely, Black so-called America needs a leader, and I will go into my definition of Black later on, and what it really truly means, the true definition of it. But does Black America need a leader? Uh, what we had here was many leaders, many chiefs, and amongst them there can be leadership in federations, leadership amongst leaders, and so there's a liaison thing. And I want to go into all that because Black people have been so misled about what leadership even is. So this is a good question because see, Black people, a lot of people talk about death to the patriarchy. You haven't ever seen a patriarchy ever in your life, ever. You never see the true king do true king shit. You know what I'm saying? You never seen a Black man step into his manhood and be a king of a nation. You never seen that. You have never seen patriarchy. So when people say that death to the patriarchy, I know they're just rambling off on some media, mainstream mayonnaise media drivel. Because there's no patriarchy. This is pink power terrorism, embodied in a way to where, people are just assuming power. We are power. We don't have to assume power, So does Black America, so-called America, need a leader? Absolutely. 100%.
Okay. This is beautiful. This exchange, because when I first heard the question, that was my immediate response. I was like, absolutely not. There is not a leader that is needed, because what is truly needed for us to do as a people is to possess the skill set of leadership. We need the principles of what leadership means. And this is right on point, because the 3 core principles are the village building initiatives of P4R, the Plantations for Reparations model, are feed the village, teach the village, and lead the village. We have a 6-month course that shows people how to, or engages people with the mindset of creating that leader, tapping that leader within themselves, because this is what is needed, developing the skill set of what a leader possesses, not looking at one person or persons to exemplify that. What needs to be accomplished is establishing the leader within self, as the sister said. This is a tantamount at this point. Not saying that there's plenty of people that I can look at through history as well as standing right now that do possess qualities of a leader, but I'm not looking to them to be my leader. Absolutely not. What I am looking at doing is developing the best me, the best Courtney Omega Doss that I can be. And I look to do the same thing. I look to the same thing from my husband, from him being the best leader that he can be, to my children, I like to call them my sun and my star. Okay. So to possess those qualities, they are, in a sense and in reality, becoming that leader that, instead of looking and seeking one, they are becoming one. So absolutely not. Don't need a leader. You need to become a leader, period.
Good brother Turtle, what say ye?
Yeah. So does Black America need a leader? Man, that's so loaded in the question. I know the first sister touched on us being denationalized, and the term Black America being a denationalized term to an extent. It does tie back to us ancient time wise because you got to understand blackness or darkness, regardless of the etymological term that we understand, but the perception of it today has always been tied to original people. In America, I can show and prove that that definitely come from the Amaru, dealing with our indigenous bloodline, the misnomer Olmec Mayan civilizations that started the Americas and various different civilizations all over this planet. So, do we need a leader? Do Black America need a leader? Absolutely, because it's actually within what everybody said. If you dealing with you need to become a leader, that means that you need a leader. So you need to actually have leadership to show you, to guide you in a way that is progressive for the people. But leadership is key because, like universal principles, you have divine masculine and feminine forces within this universe, and that is encompassed in leadership. And the key thing is leadership, definitely of knowledge of self. I want to give thanks and praises to Prophet Noble Ali, as well as Dr. Khalid Muhammad, which Dr. Khalid Muhammad B Day is today. See, like these were leaders that came to the people, right, with movements that had leadership within it, that showed us great examples of how we should stand as powerful original people. Um, yeah, I stand on, yeah, and I'm gonna break that down. Why is so many different layers to that. You have family leadership, which Black communities have been denationalized. So the whole thing with denationalization was to destroy the family structure. And we had various different bills on the Lances Indigenous Radio going in on how today's so-called family structures amongst Black people are colonial family structures. And what Black people hate about leader, for one, leader qualities can be demonized. Astrology wise, we in the season of leadership. One of the key words to what y'all know of as Capricorn is leadership, right? I just named two goats, turtle goats, that were Capricorns that came with stern leadership, right? A powerful effect that we've still benefiting from today. So leaders will be demonized to an extent because they're going to come with discipline, structure, order, that's universally harmonized. That in colonial society, which we have been programmed by, those things are evil. To have discipline, structure, order, and particularly coming from an original man. That is key to understand that a lot of our people, in particularly our women, hate patriarchy and leadership because it's like a misdirected energy. Because again, like Palmetto stated, they believe that they're in a patriarchy. And you can say this is a patriarchy, but it's colonial patriarchy. And you can say that it's leadership, but it's colonial leadership. So when you understand colonial is parasitic energy, then you understand that all things can be distorted. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna lead off on. But we got a lot of in depth that we're gonna go in on that.
Powerful. All of you had great insights. A lot has been said. This is early in the game, but a lot has already been said. Empress, anything to add to this takeaway or anything else that comes to mind?
Yes, thank you for asking. One thing I do know is that our experience in this world, I wouldn't even just say this corporation called America, is very different as women and men. So I love the brother saying that we have not experienced patriarchy. This is not patriarchy to them because they know that they are original. So they know they wouldn't have this shit in a world set up the way it is. But when we know ourselves to be the original woman, not Black women, and it's this pink power. I definitely like how you said that, Palmetto Star. This is very much so pale face power. To know that I can speak from my experience. I'm a military kid, born in Japan, raised in Philly and Atlanta. So traveling around this country, around this world, and having my experience as an original woman, we are very much so dealing with toxic patriarchy. And when it comes to the patriarchy that I would prefer, which is really none, because I know this to be the original woman to be God herself, I would love to see my brother step up, but we know we have to go into a space of um, slicing throats. And I don't think too many women who look like me are really prepared for that, to go into that really natural space of being in nature. When you look at Mama Bear said, "Don't fuck with my baby cubs, and I won't mess with you." But too many of us do. My apologies. My sister just walked in, so it's gonna be so it's okay. But because we don't operate in our nature, and we are very much so addicted to the narrative, which is patriarchy. Then that's our experience as so-called Black women. But like I said, if we stop calling ourselves Black and start going back to our original ways, we would hear and see this world differently than what it is. I yield.
Okay. We are into the second round, and she's coming out swinging. Good brother Palmetto, please. What say you?
So patriarchy. I would like to ask, where are the kings of this patriarchy? Who are the kings of this patriarchy? Because that's what patriarchy is, right? Why I say this is pink power terrorism as opposed to patriarchy, it is basically people are held hostage. The pale male cannot exist in a free world because they have to marginalize, they had to kill, and they had to subjugate in order for this thing that is they had deemed called white to exist. These features, because they're inferior. They're inferior gene pool. So in order for that to continue, they had to initiate terrorism around the world. You know what I'm saying? We right now know that Donald Trump killed a baby, witnessed a baby being killed and thrown in a lake. We know that right now. Everybody in America knows that off the redacted Epstein files, right? What is anybody going to do about it? And it's because of pink power terrorism that has people locked in. It's not anything else. It's not that we cannot be leaders or we can't be all these other things that we aspire to be. It's pink power terrorism is that the elephant, the pink elephant in the room, you know. So we patriarchy. Where's the kings at? That's what I would ask. Empress is who are these kings and where are these kings? Because this is not patriarchy. That this is not. I would challenge your notion of what patriarchy is, just because it is led by what you consider males. These are which only a black man can be a male. Only a black man can be that. So for to say that this is a patriarchy, I had to disagree. I had to absolutely disagree on that fact because this is not. You've never seen a patriarchy before. They won't. As a matter of fact, they will not have you see a patriarchy because as soon as it turns patriarchy, black men rule. But as soon as it turns to any sort of patriarchy, look at what happened on the golf court. Look what happened on the basketball court. Look what happened. What is happening on any scale. So as soon as they do patriarchy, that's why so-called George Washington, renounced being a king because as soon as it becomes patriarchy, black men will be the rulers, and you have never seen a patriarchy before. I believe in rulership. I believe that this is my thing. We have been so misled, pun intended, about what leadership is because what we have right now is not leadership. You know what I'm saying? It's terrorism guised as superiority. You know, so that's what we have right now, and it's not patriarchy. So I can't just because there are males around the world that participate does not mean that it is a patriarchal system because there's no kings in there. So by definition, there's no kings, there's no patriarchy.
Hmm.
We are halfway through the second round of the panel, I just want to make this really quick announcement. In about 15 minutes, we're going to cut YouTube. YouTube. And we're going to go exclusively on 2rawfortv.tv. So please, please, and thank you. Make sure you tap all the way in. My only question, does anybody know how much all is? Anyway, let's get back to it. Good sister Courtney, what say ye?
Well, to the sister's point as well, I commend you with being able to articulate and elaborate on that regards to this question being a totally different question when we're talking about our women and our men. This is a different reality of what leadership is and what it needs to be, how we can possess it, how we can achieve it. I absolutely also concur with the notion that too many of us are not willing to go into that natural state. And this is what not only hinders the understanding or the appreciation of the significance of becoming or recognizing a leader, but this also hinders the appreciation for the value that leadership brings to your entire dynamic, right? I think that must be something that is to be said about the Philly connection. Heard you say that, sister. Amen. We're going to go for that 215 all day. Absolutely. I taught as an educator in the Philadelphia school system, taught at Girls High, as a matter of fact. And it was the last place that I encountered such a dynamic of what it meant to have red tape. And this was, interestingly enough, and directly connected to this conversation, because it was women. It was raising young women to become women leaders, and this was something that they were very intentional about. Right, this is the school that produced such greats as Jill Scott. All right, that also caught very much recognition from leaders. Afeni Shakur, actually, when she came to Philadelphia as well, was very impressed with the Philadelphia School for Girls model, because she had never seen a school directly dedicated to producing just female leaders. But as we said, to whom much is given, much is required. And a lot of our sisters are not willing to make those sacrifices. Are we willing to change to stop wearing the bundles? Are we willing to stop the fast food addiction, sisters? Are we willing to really truly bring, if you produce those seeds with the male, to bring him into being the leader of the household? Are we willing to that submission? That is true leadership. So again, I want to have the conversation, because it was a great point that Brother Palmetto also recognized in regards to who are these leaders, who are these kings in this patriarchal society. But I had to address this good sister's comments previously, so I want them to get back to that point. But I wanted to also make sure that it was fairly noted that yes, the challenges in recognizing and becoming a leader, we have to appreciate when there's leadership abound. So I yield. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Always a pleasure, always insightful and thoughtful. Good brother Turtle. This is we save the best for last, apparently. Within the second round, please, what say ye?
Man, they all mentioned some excellent points. So I do forget the initial question, but I just want to go off of for the second round of initial question, but I want to go off of some of what they were saying. I agree with the sister when she say toxic patriarchy. I think that's how she put it. Colonial patriarchy is absolutely, that's the definition of it, toxic patriarchy. And you also have within colonial leadership toxic matriarchy feminism, which they infiltrated our communities with heavy. breaking up the Black family household structure or indigenous family household structure. And within the household structure, like I have built on numerous amount of times on Atlantis Indigenous Radio, one of the shows being matriarchy versus patriarchy, which one is for our people or which one our people were before we got colonized, right? Yeah, household structures naturally that man is that architectural intelligent, that head. Due to us being denationalized, the masses of us don't have that knowledge. But you had great leaders that I just mentioned that came through during this time frame to give us back that inheritance, right? The sister went in on the term Black, and she basically going in on what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was essential to bring it forth to the people, your nationality, after colonizers took that from you during this Holocaust that we existed in. And you take that from a person, that's the worst crime. That really is the only crime. You hear some people say it ain't about slavery because we was never slaves. Context of that is very true. If we dealing with denationalization, more our people is more slave today on their 9 to 5s and programmed by colonial society, whether that's 50 Cent's false perception of power or his colonial empire that y'all love to watch. Or any other thing that they put in place. They is, like we mentioned in the last debate, the colonizers that control the Negroes that they give you of today to be your leadership after establishing counter intelligence, which is deep. I want original people to think about this. Most people around the world consider the FBI, CIA, and all of that the top intelligence agencies around the world. The FBI, which is the foundational of U.S. Colonial intelligence, said they created a whole counterintelligence. That's just to show you who is true intelligence. The original man is true intelligence. Your opposition telling you this shit. They created a whole program called counterintelligence, right? To stop what? The rise of the Black Messiah, who would electrify and politicize his people. So that's dealing with divine leadership, understanding that we went through these traumas. These are epigenetic traumas that you see a lot of us going through, motherly and fatherly issues. Daddy wasn't in the household for whatever reason, Now we understand in this society, most of our women are incentivized through various different methods. It's not just the WIC and EPT to have the original man out of that household. Is colonial programming. All your colonial programming. I mentioned some of the television shows of modern time, but you had ones prior as well. So it's key to understand that we're dealing with a colonial society and being denationalized. So the masses of our people, is going to be off. It's going to still be dealing with traumas unprogressively. And when you understand the power of your indigenous inheritance, right? These other two goats I'm gonna be honoring on the next Atlantis Indigenous Radio will be Muhammad Ali, as well as Grandmaster Moses Powell, who taught the and also known as Musa Muhammad, his indigenous name, but who taught the FOI, which the GOAT Muhammad Ali was FOI. So it's important to understand that we got measurements of protection when we understand our Aboriginal inheritance and who we are. And leadership is important for us to harmonize. The original woman does, she went through the same stuff that we went through, just on a different level. But for women, they internalize things different. So you do need to understand that. And us being the natural leaders, original man is going to have to take the energy that she come with, and you're going to have to know how to heal her from that, because she going to come at you because she got daddy issues. Many of them have daddy issues. They did not have a father in the household, or their father did not have knowledge of self like that. So and then of course they horrible choosing on just males in their life. You feel me? They got that trauma. Every man they done dealt with, and whether he really did or didn't have knowledge of self, and most of the time he didn't. So we got to take that all into consideration. But when you talk about leadership, man, I'm thinking of all the great leaders that came before us that laid the foundation for the greatness of what we're doing. That we wouldn't be talking this understanding our nationality type stuff, or being a powerful original man and securing our legacy, like Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And even what he mentioned on going in last week, the first thing he made the brothers that was opposing what we was coming with was acknowledging your open opposition. The pilgrims that call themselves Jews and others that group together to keep us in a poverty state, in a weak state. So that's important. But leadership does that. And yes, most Black women have not experienced a powerful original man as leadership. Because the boyfriends that they choose, I mean, it's just trash. The fathers have not been in their life. Yeah, so all of those traumas, we got to understand that that's a reality. So I be understanding where they be coming from, but you still got to teach, because we are different original man that got knowledge of self, love of self, and we putting in work in a different type of way. So we creating our own. We're not asking the colonizer or begging the colonizer for nothing. We taking back our divine inheritance and honoring the great leaders, the shoulders that we stand on.
Well, that was 2 rounds completed, which easily has brought us to the 30-minute mark. To the family on YouTube, I am humbled, honored, and grateful to have you. But I do want to ask that everybody come on over to 2rawfortv.tv. That's 2rawfortv.tv. Tap all the way in. All right, so for the YouTube family, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a great rest of your day. Peace. Okay, now we are exclusively on 2 Raw for TV. Let's go into round 3. A lot has been said, Empress. I see you over there with some, some facial expressions. Please tap in.
Okay.
Just unmute your mic.
I'm glad you can see me, okay? Because I'm listening to y'all. I love the whole conversation. But when we keep talking about this leadership, I just want to know: do y'all ever think that a woman could be in leadership? The original woman, not a Black woman. And when we speaking on leadership, I'm not speaking to the heavy lifting and things like that, even though we know that the woman's body could do things way greater than any man could do. But when we're talking about leadership and the acknowledging of the matriarchy, acknowledging the original woman, not the Black woman, I know her to be her, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. Just as I see my eye in the background, I know who I am. I am that I am. So with that, and we speak to leadership and everything we've seen in this stage we call the world, we've only seen males in leadership. And I think the world is very fucked up because the men are in leadership. And that's the problem. We're not in nature. We're in everything that is a narrative. And we're losing because we're so far away from nature. Nature is divine feminine and masculine, divine masculine, but you know that divine masculine is birthed out of divine feminine. So going back to her and what that leadership may look like, in the submissions from which you came out of a womb. You come in a womb to come back out of a womb, a dark womb at that. So when we look at who we are as a people, I've never understood how we could think that submission would come from the roles, that narrative of, well, a woman is supposed to submit, but you come from me. So how could the creation desire for the creator to submit to it? I've never gotten that. I love my original brothers. There ain't nothing more powerful on this planet than y'all, period. Outside of myself, I am that I am. But if I know these things about my SUN, that means I'm supposed to exalt my SUN and speak a truth that goes beyond this narrative. And that goes back to who we are naturally. I'm not saying, oh yeah, I want to make all the decisions. But when we look at nature, when we look at what's natural, there's a difference in who we are and how they show us and how they give us this narrative on BET, Love and Hip Hop Baddies. That's a narrative. That's not natural. So of course you all can't, not you all personally, but the world can't see the original woman being in leadership because she thinks she's Black and she want to be Black, and we've cultivated ourselves to be Black. But in all actuality, in nature, we are the leaders naturally. We're the first teachers. And because she has really conditioned herself to go from being original, being birthed into this world as original, to being Black, to being African American, she has forgot her ways. She has truly lost herself. So I don't until, like I said before, we get back to that original state, taking them bundles out of our hair, taking them dumbass lashes off of our face, and honoring our womb. We're so detached from our womb. So I don't see how we could be in leadership today, for sure. But to go back to the way it was before the credit score system, before the penthouses, before the Rolls Royces, like that natural way, we have to get back to, because this son is doing something that's never done before. So we're getting back to a space, but I don't think people actually know what that leadership gonna look like. I yield.
Okay. Palmetto, please and thank you. I see you over there, 32 teeth. Let's unmute your mic.
I had to say something about. I have seen that leadership before, so I have seen a phenomenal woman step into her supreme state. I have seen that. I have seen that. So I have seen that leadership before, and this is what I'm saying. I'm gonna go into the definition of Black, right? Because it's so funny that a lot of people quote the Black's Law Dictionary. Think about why they're even giving you this thing, Black's Law Dictionary, to say what Black is, right? When I talk about Black, I'm talking about the void. I'm talking about the void which we all come from. You know, that is the true darkness. That's the true blackness. That is the true void, the nothingness state where we could create everything from. You know, that is the true Black, not this. Because first of all, black is a status and white is a status, right? Pale males, and they took this white status and applied it to a racial identity, and they took the Black status and applied it to a racial identity. You know what I'm saying? When Osiris was the perfect Black, you know, Black deals with divinity, that darkness which they put under the whole thing of Black. You know what I'm saying? There have been Black women that could step into their supreme self, because Black is a status of divinity, is a status is a akin to godliness. How they say that, you know, but we control the narrative. We control all words. We created the English language, so we could surpass Black's Law Dictionary, which they gave y'all Negroes to make the word Black seem like it's just when we were calling Osiris the perfect Black in that language equivalent. We were calling these different gods, Hindu gods, and things of that nature. They were akin to Black as well, and that is because of what Black is, and that is the void, that's the darkness, that's where we all come from. You know what I'm saying? So when I say Black, I understand what you're saying with the denationalization. Black is not a nationality. It's not. But Black is supreme. Black is supreme as far as the darkness, the void we all come from, which is the void is the Black woman. The void is the womb. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we come from. We come from our worst nightmare. Imagine being underneath water in the darkness, submerged in water. You come from your worst nightmare. And that's the blackness. That's the blackness. That's the darkness. That's where we all can create from. So when I say Black supremacy, because I am the prophet of Black supremacy, you know, when I say Black supremacy, that's what I'm talking about. The void, that void. And also to the point of this leadership, so we're used to this one person being this leader figure. No, we will have several different leaders, several nations, matriarchy and patriarchy side by side. You know what I'm saying? So because you said men lead this, I had to disagree. Pale males are not men. Pale males are not men. Let me say that again. Pale males are not men. So you're saying men lead this, and I had to say, hell no. Men do not lead this. Pale males lead this. They have lackeys that are Black. That's not Black leadership. Black lackeys for pale males is not Black leadership. So I would say, and anybody that even owns their own business or whatever here is still under that pell mell blacky thing. You know what I'm saying? So we haven't seen patriarchy. So we can't say patriarchy because the only true patriarchy is black kingship. And that's not even patriarchy. Patriarchy is some bullshit. Black kingship, our own nations. You know what I'm saying? And when I say black supremacy, what black supremacy is a liaison state between all states. The peacekeepers between all states that recognize the supreme self. You know, federations. That's how we have it. You know what I'm saying? Like not just one person leading. That's why they, unfortunately, they were able to conquer America so easily because we had all these different tribes and all that stuff like that seemed disconnected. What black supremacy is the correction of that. What Turtle Island, the mistake of Turtle Island was not to have that black supremacist state of liaison between all states that provide peacekeeping and have a culture of peace between all of these nations. You know what I'm saying? So we can't have pell-mell pink power terrorism infiltrate Turtle Island again. You know what I'm saying? So we need black supremacy. We need that black supremacy, but we need other nations. We need our matriarchs. We need our queens. We need our phenomenal women to step up into their supreme self. We need all of that. I don't care what you call yourself. You call yourself, whatever you call yourself that fits with your nation. I want to see all nations rise. Black supremacy is about all original, indigenous, black nations rising. It's not about just whatever anybody calls themselves. We could do that and exist and coexist, and we have. And black supremacy is the reflection of that. It's the knowledge of that we can. Even on this panel right here, this is a black supremacy thing because I know everybody has different mindsets and different points of view, but we all come together because we know the common goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it seems almost as if this conversation has been overwhelmed by how we identify themselves and it's actually taken away from the conversation of leadership. Fine, let's call ourselves aliens, but the question still remains about leadership, regardless of what you want to call yourself. I want to know about the leadership. I don't necessarily, and what we call ourselves is a conversation for another day. What about leadership? Courtney, please.
I love that you doubled back down because that's actually what I wanted to do. And again, not to dismiss Sis Empress, we have definitely got to connect. Not to dismiss not to dismiss the point of recognizing or identifying rather, but we need to get back to what she said, which is the fact that the matriarchal system, the matriarchal reality needs to be more emblazed in this conversation. Because when we talked about when Brother Turtle talked about the COINTEL being created to counter the Black Messiah, and that was, of course, our brother Fred Hampton, and we gonna always put it up for Fred Hampton. But the conversation was not about, hey, COINTEL was also fostered up because of a great that we just lost, of course, Sister Sada. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is the matriarchal. Okay. This is someone that defied not only the judicial system, but defied nature to become pregnant with seed and to make sure that that solidified her grand escape, which they still can't figure out. So this is again also the ancestor. So we want to get back to that conversation, which is that is something that is lost. And this is what I love what Sister Empress said. When we're talking about leadership, we so often attach that to patriarchy or to the male, whereas it is not attached as liberally. And even as Brother Palmetto, as you said, that phenomenal women and looking for the queens and walking to self, absolutely, that sounds good, but it's not being recognized when there's the matriarchal system right here, and how we can support, encourage, and mobilize that reality. And so this is why also I stated at the beginning of my conversation, or the beginning of my introduction, that this is why not only was this significant and important when I'm talking about my husband, but in establishing and recognizing the leadership qualities, but I'm talking about also the fact that there is nothing that by way of coincidence that with raising a son and a star, both sides of that balance, this is also something that needs to be equally as funded and as supported when we're talking about bringing into that realization for both of those entities. And I as well, I yield. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that back around.
Can I say something about that? Can I say something about that real quick?
Real quick.
Okay, so for matriarchy to step up, the queens need to step up into their position. That's all that needs to happen, because thy kingdoms come. The kings are stepping up into their position. The queens just need to step up into this. This is about a decision right now. Are you going to step into your queenship? Are you going to step into your phenomenal woman state? Are you going to step into your supreme state? It's all about a decision. It's not about if I recognize it, because if it are funded or whatever, it's about, it'll be, there's no way I couldn't recognize it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't recognize it. There's no way you could deny it. There's no way that you could deny phenomenal women stepping into their supreme self and exemplifying that. You know what I'm saying? They gave you the skewed version with Oprah. They gave you the skewed version with these mainstream mayonnaise media things, because they don't want to give you the real version. The real version is you deciding that you're stepping into that, so that's what it's about. It's a decision now. It's not about anybody recognizing anything. It's about a decision that has to be made. If you want to step into your phenomenal womanhood, then step into your phenomenal womanhood. That is a decision now.
Okay, fair enough. Good, Brother Turtle. The only reason I even call it semantics is when the secondary topic takes over the primary conversation. So devoid of the semantics, where are you on the leadership? I guess at this point we're having a matriarchal patriarchal conversation, but fair enough, because we're still dealing with leadership. What say you?
So for sure, man. Absolutely. And I'm gonna give thanks to man, it's so many true chocolate goddesses that came through that were of leadership, right? I'm gonna mention one, Empress Vertice of the Washita, as well as I'm gonna mention another one, Sister Claire Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's one of his beautiful wives. Yeah, on the Lances Indigenous Radio, we actually built on that. And when you're dealing with leadership, you have to deal with the two divine elements or principles of masculine and feminine, right? So even within all of because she mentioned Fred Hampton, definitely a GOAT, salute to the God. But the counterintelligence program, and why you hear so much of the divine masculine being mentioned when dealing with leadership, because proper roles, like balancing roles, you establish a family structure. 9 times out of 10, naturally in family structures, that man is going to be like the architect, that woman is going to be like the engineer. A lot of really disabling mindsets that we have is some of the things that the sister had mentioned. Is like, oh, you come from the womb. The womb had to be sparked with a divine seed. Do we say we come from our father's testicles? But that's what's needed to create a baby, though. So we have to really be balanced as far as original people with where we come from. We come from our mom and our father. Our mother, father, mama, daddy, pops, whatever you want to call it. So those two divine frequencies create us. And it's a continuous cycle of that, right? So it's important when understanding All right. Naturally, women like to be behind the scenes. That's just a natural feminine principle. I can deal with warfare. You dealing with in the forefront, you might have a samurai, right? It's two type of samurais or shinobi, just where they get it from. The upfront warrior in your face, which is the masculine force. That's a natural masculine principle. And then you have the ninja, which is behind the scenes in the darkness. But that's a divine feminine aspect of warfare. You understand that when you understand indigenous martial arts. So it's important, of course, with culture, and that's where leaders come with culture and solutions for us as original people to really elevate. Nobody, when speaking of leadership, when you speak of the greatness of all of them, like let's just say Asada, right? Asada's romanticized like it wasn't original men who broke her out. We gotta be honest and we gotta be balanced. We have to be balanced. It was original men, Black Liberation Army leaders that broke her out. They was not having that shit. You messing with their chocolate goddess. They willing to put their lives on the line to ensure, because she was in her divine feminine under rulership of whether it was Black Panther Party, Black Liberation Army, etc. Under that rulership, which a lot of our women get today. Again, they don't deal with their traumas of colonial feminism. Yeah, colonial feminism. And then key with original men, understanding that we have to be the ones to put up, to have that plan, even within your the way you architect your family structure. And that's extremely important. That's extremely important with the divine leadership, even today, having greater impact. When you see lack of movements falling and different things like that, it's you can point to the leadership as the head, but you can also point to the followers, because it's that whole body politic that make up technically leadership. So that's why it's important. Like I do indigenous bodybuilding, right? You can have more than the charge that I charge you for a session, right? If I see that you weak, you got a weak ass mindset, fuck your dollars. Fuck your even if you got let's say indigenous cryptos or cryptocurrencies. Fuck that. I'm not gonna spend my energy on you you're gonna be lazy, you're gonna make 1,000 excuses, you're weak. I'm good with that. You go train with somebody else. You go, somebody else you can impress with those dollars. So it's just important that leadership is definitely balanced. Absolutely. But again, with the divine feminine energy, most feminine energy likes to be behind the scenes. That does not mean that within every movement that we haven't had the divine feminine within that movement, and every great leader has given thanks to the divine feminine within their movement. So that's important to understand.
Always impressive. Always Coca-Cola. I'm just joking. Please, Empress, your blood pressure. Please let it go. Come on. I'm just joking. Please.
I love that. The blood pressure. Listen, because I'm listening to you, sir. I love what you're saying, and I'm in agreement with it. Now I'm gonna tell you how dangerous it is, because, like I said, I don't really think this is a competition of the genders or anything. When I look at leadership today, and I look at the biggest spell that's on us as the original women, the Black women today, that the leadership is the church, religion. So we are in the church, behind the scenes, quiet. We ain't the pastors and the preachers and nothing like that, but we sit in them damn pews, ushering energy over us we have no clue about. We singing the highest praise to a white savior, but don't want to save ourselves. So just as we are in the background, we make up the majority. So therefore, it puts us in the forefront. That's to me, that's leadership, and that's the trick of the enemy. Because it's us in the masses doing that. Christianity don't look the way it looked because of white male patriarchy, pink power, whatever you want. It's because of the Black woman. She has the highest demographic in that church. The highest. She populates the church the most. but yet she's causing the most damage because we're not going back and sitting our asses outside and grounding. We ain't growing our natural hair. We singing. The so-called Black woman got the most powerful fucking frequency on this planet. When she opened her mouth and she sang, there's a shift in the atmosphere. But you sing it to who? You're not singing over yourself. You're not saying in the name of Wesia, in the name of Courtney. You sing in the name of Jesus. That's a spell. So just they have us in the background, you know, just we not in the front, but we in the background. We would make up the majority. We telling our men, well, if you don't go to church, you can't be with me. What? If you don't want to be a slave like me, you can't be with me. That is a spell. We're doing ourselves such a disservice because we are not acknowledging that we are not in true leadership. The original woman gonna tell you to get your ass out them churches. When I tell you, Spirit has been giving me so many visions and me kicking down these damn church doors and dragging out my sisters, dragging them out. Okay, because we have lost ourselves. We have gotten away from who we are from nature. You're mother nature, not mother narrative. We have to remind ourselves of that. We have to have those heartfelt conversations because that shit do hurt. Because our mamas ain't telling us this. Our grannies ain't telling us this. They tell us, oh, baby, it's okay. Wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord, baby. Wait. No one's coming to save you. And that's the leadership we need. We need to hear those things. It's going to be us who save each other. I just, you know, I had to get my blood pressure together, Karam. Thank you for letting me say that. I'm done.
Well, I will say this, not being funny either, but Empress has truly, for this last 56 minutes, been leading the conversation. So shout out to you for that. In addition to that, if I could take a shot at Palmetto, it was a toxic masculinity in you that made you go twice the last round. I'm just picking with the family. No, please, brother Palmetto, what say ye? Just unmute your mic.
There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of lost people in the church and things of that nature. We think that blacks. I will save you. I am the savior. I will say. Black supremacy saves on contact, saves at impact, saves as soon as you hear it. You know, as soon as you hear those words uttered, that's where the saving begins. So, we do have to save ourselves. There is nobody coming to save us, but in order to step into that savior role, we need to become the savior. You know, what was Jesus doing? Jesus Christ said, ye shall do greater works than me. Mm-hmm. The point of black supremacy is doing those greater works and nothing else. Black supremacy is about the greater works. You know, be greater than Jesus. Be greater than Mayat. My daughter's name's Meta Mayat Star. You know what I'm saying? Greater than the goddess Mayat. You know, that's her title. It's greater than the goddess Mayat. We must be greater than even the people that we read about. We could get stuck and lost in all these books and things of that nature. But when are we going to step up and be the greater works? When are we going to step up and be the God? And that's what black supremacy is about. And that's what, you could have a patriarchy. That's what I'm saying. Does Black America need a leader? Yes, but it needs leadership. And what that looks like is matriarchy, is patriarchy. It is all of our nations rising. And black supremacy being the liaison state within that, having a culture of peace and peacekeeping and things of that nature to be that liaison state within that state. You know what I'm saying? Within all those nations. So I want all of our nations to rise. I want the matriarchy to rise. I want true patriarchy to rise. I want the Moors to rise. I want the Hebrew Israelites to rise, and even a decrypt nation, if they qualify, you know what I'm saying? But they're not in the qualifying state right now, but I want all of our divine nations to rise, you know what I'm saying? So black supremacy is liaison state within on that state. When I say blackness, I'm talking about the divine source. You can call it darkness, you can call it whatever. It's black supremacy. So that's what I have to say about that.
Sister Courtney, it looks like you have a lot that you want to say. Please share.
Thank you. I will say this. I do think that there's something to be said in regards to within the church structure. Women are, we are naturally in the background, as Turtle mentioned, and as I believe Empress also doubled down on. But I will say it this also: I am in a lot of churches, and I've served in a lot of churches and a lot of different communities from everywhere from Miami to Atlanta to Athens, Georgia. Not I didn't go to churches too much in Philadelphia, so I cannot speak on that there. But Florida, specifically, are particularly rather. Black women aren't in no churches, honey. I want you to know that. I mean, I think that you may look and see that on the outside, but Black women are not in churches. Black people are not in a lot of churches that are not Black. Let me say that. When I say that, we have to specifically talk about that there is a white church and there's a Black church. Yes, there is. In white churches, Black people are not there. They are not there in an abundance. And the ones that are there, you're going to find full families. You're going to find Black women, Black men, and their children. You are not going to find a lot of single Black women in white churches. You're not going to find a lot of Black men in white churches. Now, where you are going to see that dynamic is in Black churches. This is why Jamal Bryant can sit up and say that he bought the dress for his BBL wife, and you are going to see dozens of Black women foolishly applauding this, foolishly applauding this with, yes, bundles in their hair and lashes on their face, because they quintessentially and in their minds want to look and appear like the quote unquote first lady, which biblically we are taught that there is no such thing as a first lady. Okay, so I'm going to counter that. The problem is not because I was raised in the church. My parents were both Episcopalians, which was introduced to the family by my father, who grew up Bahamian. And Episcopalian was a structure that was disciplined, and it was able to be in the Bahamas because the Catholic Church was not, because too many of the Catholic priests are molesting boys. And so my father, who was raised by his mother, who his dad died when he was 2, so he was primarily raised in the church and with that structure because that was something that his mother trusted. Grandma Alma trusted that she could send him to learn how to be a leader, to learn that structure, to learn that discipline, and she didn't have to worry about his butthole being messed up by the Catholic priest. So when he married my mother, he introduced the Episcopalian faith to her, and then we were brought up in that. And I will say, even in that church, yes, a lot of Black families. Now, it was not my mom saying, wait on the Lord. Didn't have to. My mom was a married woman, had homes, and all of my sisters, this is what happened. This is what we were growing up in, because we had that structure, we had that basis, and we had definitely leadership qualities that were instilled in us. What has happened in this generation is that lost of. Because I have seen over my lifespan, especially with having children, I became a first-time mom at 27. But the past 20 years, I have seen and worked in many communities as a community builder, as a councilwoman, as a community management liaison, different structures, different dynamics. Black people are not in churches. That's not our problem. Well, I will say that is the problem. But that the problem is not that we've been told to wait on the Lord. The problem is that we're thinking of doing so much ourselves, and we don't even know who ourselves are. So this is why I'm going to close out with my original statement. No, we don't need a leader. What we need is to become a leader. What we need to see and know what true leadership is. So to Turtle's point originally, how can you become it if you don't see it, or if you don't know what that exhibition of excellence looks like? Well, we might have to skip this generation. We might have to skip and go past and in our past to review that, because those that do not honor their past are what? Doomed to repeat it. And I yield.
Excellent. Okay. Let's make this the final go round so that we can end with Palmetto. Closing thoughts, good brother Turtle. Do our people need a leader? What say ye?
So yeah, definitely understanding that a leader is the oneness force of leadership, right? So you got the masculine and feminine element. You got to honor your parents, or masculine and feminine force that you come from. That's extremely important in leadership, that divine balance. And you got to elevate everything that you coming with. Like I just mentioned, two great leaders in the past. If I'm in the 1920s with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, or if I'm in the I think it was the 2000s when the great brother Dr. Khalid transitioned. But if you're not elevating what the greatness of these great leaders came with, then yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice, and technically you're not a true leader, because every true leader got it in us to naturally do that. And as far as I think, it's a lot of other debates that just got brung up. Is the church the causation of black people's downfall? But yeah, so I would agree, man. It's a lot of foolishness that goes on in the church, and the masses of our church do have the masses of our females in there as well, and that deals with the colonial leadership that was placed upon our people. You have to understand the Christian doctrine of discovery, when colonizers went up all across the world and said they will put our people under Christendom. And now you got your preachers as your leaders, and now you mentioning all the crazy stuff that goes on with that, and the unprogressive state that the masses of our folks are in, making excuses on eating swine and living all type of crazy lifestyles, as far as really not love of self. Um, and truly going against that book within itself, as far as where it gets is foundational principles, the Tanakh, the Torah, those teachings that originated with certain groups of black people or indigenous peoples, right? So yeah, absolutely, man. The leadership needs to be there. It needs to be individualistic, where you get rid of your epigenetic trauma. That's the trauma coming from your environment. You was placed in a lab rat goddamn project. That's why they call it Project Hood. All that shit is colonial lab rat. You was placed with a colonial family structure that did not have traditions, cultures tied to our indigenous ancestry of empowerment. So you got to get rid of the traumas of your mama and your daddy, which was handed down to you. That shows your personal leadership, and you do have to be able to organize in powerful structures of whatever uplifting movement that you're a part of. Us, Atlantis Indigenous Society, Atlantis Indigenous Empire. That's where you get Atlantis Indigenous Radio. And we definitely come with honoring that divine masculine and feminine. So definitely make sure everybody tune in every Thursday, 9 p.m. right here on TrueOfferTV.tv. Make sure you subscribe as well, because within what we're doing, you can see with the great brother Palmetto, and with the great brother Dre, and all of us on here, content creators, etc., that participate in supporting this great movement. This is an element of leadership, going beyond colonial media, which they're going to restrict you, even though they're going to lure you there with tricks, with a lot of people there, a lot of people being there. It's popular, but they will censor you. Ask the great brother, the master student Crumb. You code that truth. They look into censor you, and because that's empowerment, especially an original man coming with that. So we showing examples of that. And if y'all personally want to get at me, you can definitely again get at me on Instagram. T the Big Headed Alchemist. That's me doing the handstand on TrueOfferTV.tv. Miko Turtle, the Big Headed Alchemist. And I just salute everybody, and we will be coming up with the indigenous courses the next new moon. So that's like the 18th. So I'll be making announcements on the show. So everybody tune in for that. But salute to the fam.
You always hit on all cylinders. Very rarely, if ever, do I see you miss. Bullseye once again. This is my first time encountering Empress, and she's really been a breath of fresh air. And I really, really want to hear her closing thoughts. But I think we lost her. Um, if I had to guess, situations like this because her phone died, but who knows? But with that said, Paul Meadow, good brother Paul Meadow. Um, I'm so disappointed that Empress did fall off. But with that said, good leader. Maybe being funny, I don't know. But yeah, good leader. Can you give us the closing thoughts, please?
Does Black America need a leader? If there's people that want to consider themselves Black America, yeah, they'll need a leader as well, you know. Um, but do indigenous Black people need leadership? Absolutely. We need leadership. We need leadership to even be leaders. You know what I'm saying? We talk about the real patriarchy, which is Black men rulership, black when kings were around, right? The kings stood side by side with their divine counterpart, with the queen. If you saw the statues, they were side by side. So what we even think about as far as patriarchy is skewed. So there, so does Black America need a leader? Emphatically, yes. Black America, if people want to consider themselves Black America, but we need to all step into our leadership roles and get into what true leadership truly is. And I think it's a more bigger question about leadership as opposed to one leader, because there's going to be many leaders that contribute to being part of that leadership of one out of many nations, one.
Sorry about that. With that said, I want to give high honors and perfect praise to all of the panelists. I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm grateful. It means everything to have you and your support for tapping in. You could have been anywhere doing anything because Lord knows you already have your own shows. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. Um, I want to thank all of the viewers and those who are going to catch this later. Tap all the way in. My only question, family, before we depart ways, does anybody know how much all is? Until next time, I'm your humble brother Crumb, the master student. You are now watching 2 Raw for TV.tv. Peace and love, y'all.